Welcome everybody! Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. Today's tea is something I got for Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Be quiet, dogs. I hear you in the background there. I hope none of you have to hear that. In any case, today's tea is actually one I received for Christmas. Sort of further supply of orange Pecco tea. Well, this one says Ceylon orange Pecco tea for some reason. I'm not sure if that means it's a different type of orange Pecco tea, but it's from Wittard's, which is where I got my original orange Pecco, and I've got, well, new orange Pecco tea. This one is with milk. In any case, now that I've introduced tea, I'm jumbled up all over my words just then. Now that I've introduced my tea, today's subject is one I've kind of gone over before, although there is obviously the slight difference. Many people have been talking about their sort of like favourite games of the year. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm saving it for as sort of far back as possible, and I will be uploading that sort of video, my game of the year of 2015, for, once 2015 has actually ended. So, I've taken advantage of the most amount of time. A video I can do before that though is the games I'm looking forward to in 2016. Of course, there'll be plenty of games announced in 2016 to look forward to, but for now, there are plenty of games I'm looking forward to in 2016 that I can talk about now. And so, like I did before, with my top 6 most looked forward to games of 2015, I'll be going over my top 6 most looked forward to games of 2016. Although, I think I'll change that to top 6 most anticipated games of 2016, because that just sounds better. I'm not sure what I was thinking when I put down most looked forward to games. That just seems rather plain and goes on for a bit long. For anyone who wants to hear about my top 6 most looked forward to games of 2015, you can look it up with that exact line, and Tea Time, we should come up with that exact sort of video. If I can, I'll see about posting a link or annotation up on screen, though I haven't done that before. I'll see about doing it though, if I can. So if I figure that out, you'll know, because it'll pop up there and you can see that video. I could actually go over them right now, but in any case, I'll move on to my top 2016, because if you want to know what games I was looking forward to this year, which, look at my list, thankfully every single one of them came out. I worry with some of them that, like, is it gonna come out? But no, luckily every single one of them came out. In any case, my top 6 most look forward to games of 2016. I'm actually getting onto the title of this actual subject now. Isn't that great? Okay, number 6. My 6th most anticipated game of 2016. Odin Sphere Odin Sphere HD. I'll because they chose such a weird name, but Leifrasir. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It'll be up on screen how it's spelled at least, but it's basically Odin Sphere HD. I'm looking forward to getting this on the PS3, because thankfully, whilst I don't own a PS4 or a PS Vita, this game is also coming to PS3. Now, why I'm looking forward to this game is because, well, anyone who knows my sort of top 12 favourite video games video that I posted before in Tea Time, I absolutely adore Muramasa the Demon Blade. Muramasa the Demon Blade is one of my favourite games of all time. It's one of my favourite Wii games of all time. It's an absolutely incredible game that I had an amazing experience with. Odin Sphere is like the spiritual predecessor to it, or rather, Muramasa the Demon Blade was the spiritual successor to it. And from what I hear about Odin Sphere HD, it comes in two versions on the same sort of disc. A HD upgrade of the original Odin Sphere, and then a HD upgrade of Odin Sphere with gameplay enhancements taken from, or inspired by the sort of advancements they made with Muramasa the Demon Blade. And so, as a fan of Muramasa the Demon Blade, I really want to actually play through the predecessor that Vanillaware made, as well as to be able to enjoy the Muramasa-styled sort of gameplay enhancements they'll have done to Odin Sphere HD. well, to Odin Sphere, not HD. HD didn't exist before. I love vanillaware, I believe. I'm not sure why I said vanilla art, but it is the artwork I love about their games. Their games look gorgeous, and they also play amazingly well as to boot. That always helps. Game can look beautiful, but gameplay is where it truly matters. And thankfully, Muramasa Demon Blade and Odin Sphere HD and the games that Vanillaware brings out succeeds at both. So I'm really looking forward to Odin Sphere Le Frasier. Moving on then to a game that's easier to announce the title of. Number 5, my 5th most anticipated game of 2016. Pokken Tournament for Wii U. Well, I'm a big fan of fighting games. It's one of my favourite genres, if not my favourite. I'm always in a toss-up between fighting games and turn-based RPGs. Though my terminology of fighting games is more the broader kind. Some will say that a lot of the games I play are rather more simplistic fighting games. I like the DBZ fighting games, for instance. They're simpler, but they're still fighting games. And Pokken Tournament looks to be a rather simple fighting game, but one that features Pokemon, and one that's going to be on the Wii U. Some people have compared it to some people naturally try and compare it to Tekken, and others compared it to the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series, and I happen to enjoy the gameplay of both. And it's a Wii U exclusive that I'm really looking forward to as a fan of both Pokemon and fighting games, and of the style of fighting game that it happens to be. Me and Raph have both talked about it before. We had the Pokemon we'd most like to see in the game. So far, there isn't really any sort of Pokemon that's particularly strong suited for us in terms of who we really want. Though I'm very glad that Weavile is in the game, because I quite like Weavile. Just not sure if he's going to suit me in terms of fighting style. But so far, my pick is Weavile out of them. But we'll see who gets announced. In fact, it's only because the roster so far is rather slim and we don't know much outside of the roster that it's only at number 5. But gameplay-wise, I'm really liking how it looks and plays. I'm just hoping there'll be content to satisfy me, or a decent or a decent selection of Pokemon to play as. Moving on to number 4, my 4th most anticipated game of 2016, Bravely Second End Layer. I believe that's its subtitle name. After all, Bravely Default had Flying Fairy at the end of it, which I've only recently discovered why they chose Flying Fairy for its subtitle thing. But Bravely Second End Layer is the sequel to Bravely Default, which is certainly one of my favourite 3DS games, easily within the top 5. Not sure how I'd place it. 3rd, 4th, 5th. It's around there. I'm not spoiling things for my favourite games of 2015, but there's a 3DS game that I've been enjoying a lot that could be above it, could be just below it. I'll have to sort of think over that, but Bravely Second End Layer, it's basically the spiritual successor to Final Fantasy, as in it plays like classic turn-based RPG Final Fantasy games. I enjoyed the characters of the game and the mechanics they've introduced, the Bravely system, where you can use up all your free turns at once and such. The new sort of mechanics they added to the game really did a nice strategic feel to the turn-based combat and gave it its own personality, whilst also sort of showing off how much like the original Final Fantasy games it is like. Like the art style, love the gameplay to absolute bits. It's a triumphant return to the style of gameplay that made me love the Final Fantasy series, which sadly they don't have anymore, which is why I don't love the Final Fantasy series anymore. But I've been looking forward to Bravely Second End Layer for quite a while, and I didn't expect it to come out in 2015, or if it did, it'd be like late 2015, so 2016 release was what I expected since then. It's actually coming out on my birthday, funny enough. So I really hope I can get like the special edition that's coming. It comes with an Agnes figurine, and Agnes is my favourite character in the Bravely Default series, so I'd really like to be able to actually get that figure in the special edition and all that. But yeah, Bravely Second End Layer, really looking forward to it. It's the only 3DS game on my list, and there's only like one other 3DS game that I know is coming out next year that I'm actually looking forward to. But me and Raph will probably both mention that at some point. You'll learn eventually at some point if we decide to mention that other 3DS game I'm looking forward to. But yeah, really looking forward to Bravely Second End Layer for the 3DS. Just gotta add that in. Number 3. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Naruto ended a while back now, actually. Naruto ended, and it was a rather interesting feeling in a sense, because I've pretty much been around since I've been following Naruto since early days, like since it first had its like English dub released of the anime released over here, and after that I got into the manga and sort of been following it since. I don't watch the anime episodes because I've watched some of the anime, but it's hard to actually find them sort of like dubbed. I know people will say you should watch it subbed and all that, but I generally prefer watching it dubbed unless it's a short series that can actually get done in one time, whereas with a sub series you have to check every day on a regular basis, and I usually get knocked out of track sort of pace with the regular updates. But basically, Naruto ended, and I'm a big fan of the series. It has its flaws. Yeah, it has plenty of flaws, but it's overall a really enjoyable series, and I felt it's actually really good and the sort of morals it tries to teach and all that. And I really enjoyed the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm games. They've got simple but easy to do combat. I was a big fan of the story mode of Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. The story mode was fantastic and had amazing cinematics and everything, and really had hype battles to sort of participate in. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution, aside from countering being a bit broken, had some really cool sort of fighting mechanics and made the action feel really sort of smooth and brilliant, and I found that I really enjoy using Mifune, the Samurai Mifune, and found him to be quite overpowered as I just dashed sort of twice through my opponent at like the start of the match. Like immediately, it's not jutsu, it's a samurai, so immediately special technique. Oh, you've been cut through. Yep. But yeah, I guess as a combination of the fact that I really enjoyed the games and the anime and the manga has ended, I've been in a mood which has brought Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 to a great amount of hype for me. Like, I'm really sort of interested in playing what is supposed to be the last game of the series, and I'm really looking forward to it. I like what I've seen so far of the screenshots. I do think, like, character selection, I feel like there's some that they're missing out on. Raffi would be complaining that they seemingly haven't added Zetsu yet, despite how he plays an important part in this last sort of entry, so really he should be playable at this point. But if it improves upon the formula that I've enjoyed of the previous Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm games, and if it adds even more for me to love, for which seems to be the case from what I've seen, the game looks beautiful, and the action and combat will look fun and everything, then I'm pretty much bound to enjoy it. I believe that's also a February release, funny enough. But yeah, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 is my third most anticipated game of 2016. And of course, I'll be getting on Xbox One. Number 2. This is another Xbox One title. It's actually kind of a shame that it wasn't actually number 1. Because this... Sorry about that, dog's barking. Because this game really caught my attention, though I've only seen alpha footage of it so far, pretty much. Scalebound by Platinum Games. An Xbox One exclusive set for 2016. I'm a little worried given we saw rather early footage of it at the Gamescom. Yeah, Gamescom. So I'm a little worried that it might not actually manage its 2016, I'm assuming, holiday release date. But from what I've seen of it, it looks awesome. It's an action RPG, JRPG at that. Which, usually I prefer turn-based JRPGs. I like what I see in of this action JRPG, and the fact that you have a dragon with you. That is awesome. The game looks great. I'm loving the sort of combat and the sort of, there's just something charming about the numbers popping up above the enemies' heads. I'm not sure why. It's just got a real nice, charming feel to the sort of numbers popping in the head as you attack the opponents or your dragon attacks, taking on the sort of giant monsters and cooperating with your dragon. It's a game that just sort of naturally seems to appeal to me. It's like, of the Western RPGs, there's always something lacking for me, mostly because they tend to be rather open world, and I'm not a big fan of the, giant open world explorative, but I feel like Scalebound even though it's a JRPG, have that sort of feel that I've been wanting to from action RPGs as of late. It's definitely interesting me, and it's my second. It's the game I'm most looking forward to on my Xbox One next year. There's a lot of games I actually want on Xbox One next year. The Xbox One's got a great lineup for next year from what I've seen. But Scalebound is the game that interests me the most and just looks like a ton of fun. Moving on then to my number one, my most anticipated game of 2016. Yeah, I forgot what next year was. Gene Ubenroku Sharp FE, otherwise known as Shin Megami Tensei Times Fire Emblem. I am not a big fan of I'm not a fan of Shin Megami Tensei. I'm not really a big fan of Fire Emblem. I'm aware of its stories and characters, and I did try to play Sacred Stones and Radiant Dawn before, but I'm not very good at SRPGs, particularly one which has a mechanic where your characters are always dead. But I am a big fan of console-based, giant turn-based RPGs. In fact, I love turn-based RPGs. Again, it's probably my favourite genre, if not, it'd be fighting games. So having a Wii U exclusive, colourful and vibrant, large-scale turn-based RPG coming out next year, hopefully. Atlas tends to be rather shaky with European releases, but having that coming out for Wii U has me pumped. I am super excited for this game. Like I said, the game looks vibrant. In terms of the sort of art style and aesthetics, I'm loving the look of it. I love the sort of combat system from what I've seen and its implementation of the Fire Emblem weapon triangle. The characters have some decent designs to them. I will admit I love the musical style to the game as well. And again, it's the combat which mostly draws me to it. It's a turn-based RPG that's console-based, and I don't really get many of those. Currently, in terms of my favourite games that are on the Wii U, Child of Light still remains my favourite game. But that was just a smaller digital title that happened to be a turn-based RPG. It wasn't like a large-scale console turn-based RPG, which doesn't come around quite as often anymore. Gene Ibenroku Sharp FE is that. It's a large-scale turn-based RPG exclusive to the Wii U. And that alone has me excited for it. I mean, the fact that I like what I've seen of it, is all icing on the top that gets me even more excited and intrigued about it. But it's just the fact that I'll be able to play a large-scale turn-based RPG that really has me excited about it all. I never would have thought that this would come about from Shin Megami Cross Fire Emblem. I was expecting it to be an SRPG. In fact, my only sort of knowledge of what Shin Megami Tensei was that I always assumed that the Devil's Survivor series, which I believe are SRPGs, was what the Shin Megami Tensei series was. So I was going in the expectation that it would just be an SRPG. It being a turn-based RPG may be disappointing for the Fire Emblem fans wanting an SRPG, but it being a turn-based RPG has me ecstatic. And as I said, the fact that I've enjoyed what I've seen so far, I enjoy the characters, particularly Barry Goodman. Barry just looks awesome, and his backstory is awesome and everything. Hoping he's playable at some point. The fact that I enjoy the characters, the aesthetic, the sort of plot that's going on, I'm expecting, given that it's M-Ring and the kind of sinister opening and Destroy Tokyo sort of scene shown off in one of the trailers, I'm expecting that there'll be a dark twist at some point. But I'm glad that there's also vibrancy and colour along with this expected turn of darkness and grim sort of events to it all. I like there being a big balance. There's always a bit of sort of happiness to the dark events. So yeah, Gene Ibenroku Sharp FE. That's my most anticipated game of 2016. In the hopes that it actually comes out 2016. I don't think it's actually been given it's not got a definitive release date, and knowing Atlus, they tend to take a while for publishings of games for the Europeans and the UK and those of us in the UK, so I just have to hope that it does come out. So then, those are my top 6 most anticipated games of 2016. Please feel free to share with me your own top 2016 favourite games. Please feel free to share with me your top 6 most anticipated games of 2016. I can't believe I guffed that up, but yeah. And feel free to share your thoughts on my own list, you know. Am I right to be excited about some of these names? Am I, like, wrong? Not sure how you can be wrong about an opinion, but fair enough. In any case, I'm just going to drink my orange Pecco tea now. Oh, that is good tea. That is a lovely tea. I love orange Pecco tea. It does taste a little bit different. I'm sure that Ceylon is a slightly different blend of it, but in any case, love the tea, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Until the next episode of Tea Time, or Grin Bros uploads and whatnot, cheerio!